Previously on Bollockz.
Talk to the Top Odds Compare. Brandon, Top Odds Compare are backers on this show. Brandon, are you there? Do you have any bets for us this weekend?
Yes, hi Neil, I'm here.
Brandon, I was going to talk football straight away, but I was at the Bulls on Tuesday. I ran into a man called Barend van Graan. He runs the Blue Bulls. Maz, are you a Blue Bulls fan? See, I've got Maz over there. She's a Blue Bulls fan. And Barend van Graan said to Deshi Bakhtar and I, in the back streets of Loftus, that the Bulls are having a difficult time. And this is the fact, isn't it? Haven't they got the Lions Bulls this weekend, Super Rugby? You got any odds on that?
Yes, we do. It's Lions Bulls. Geez, the Bulls were disappointing on the weekend. But I mean, you've come to expect that from a side that like to play in pink shirts. I suppose the bit.
Well, they've got camouflage shirts now, haven't they, as well? I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, they'll pull out the pink shirts soon. They always do that. But anyway, maybe we should get the Ugandan president into the Bulls rugby union and see.
Absolutely, mate. I tell you what, I don't think that the Bulls would be allowed to play in Uganda with those pink shirts. There's no question. And Comfort wouldn't be allowed to play his music in Uganda, that's for sure. So I just want to say we're right behind this campaign against the Ugandan and Russian laws on these things, and we're right behind the Bulls as well while we're on the subject. Okay, so are you saying the Lions will beat the Bulls?
Well, the betting's fairly interesting. I mean, the Bulls have lost their first two games. The Lions have won their first two games. The Bulls are favourites at home. Alan Bookmaker offering 9-20. World Sports betting a little bit better at 5-10 for the Bulls to win the game in 90 minutes. The Lions just under 2-1 with both bookmakers. But what interests me in this game is, once again, the spread. If you guys have a look at top odds, you'll see that the Bulls have been, in terms of World Sports betting, have been given a 5.5 point start, a 5.5 point deficit that they need to overcome in the game. So the Lions will be given a 5.5 point start. And Alan Bookmaker giving a 6.5 point start to the Lions. Now, this is a side that has won two games convincingly. I mean, they beat the Stormers convincingly, and now they have to go to Loftus and play a Bulls side that, quite frankly, just aren't up to it. So I think the Lions on the plus, maybe 6.5 with Alan Bookmaker might be a good bet. Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Just speaking, I was also watching them train, watching old Victor Matfield with his great comeback, watching them train just before that Pirates against Sundowns game. They're training out the back on that double field. And, you're looking at a very difficult season for the Bulls. Lots of things going on, lots of problems. Maz is grimacing. She's a Bulls fan. It's not going to help her. But, surely it's just a straight bet on the Lions.
Well, I mean, you think about it. I mean, when the Bulls are bringing Victor Matfield back, I mean, there's got to be something wrong there. I mean, the guy was working for SuperSport, and then a week later he was, in the line-out against the Stormers. So against the Lions. So I don't know what's going on in the franchise, and I can't put my money on a Bulls team that's not playing well. And I think the Lions, they might even win the game. 18-10 might just be a good price.
Good. Well, I would just say, in Victor Matfield's defence, if I came across him in a dark alley, I would run the other way. I don't think his career is over. He's a formidable opponent. Let's talk football. Did you see anything of Real Madrid? Fantastic last night at Schalke in Germany. Absolutely magnificent performance. 6-1 win. I can't quite see Schalke 04 or Schalke 06 as they were called for a while last night. I can't quite see them winning 6-0 at the Bernabeu. Can you?
No, not at all. I did watch the game. I thought Real Madrid were a little bit short. They were 11-20 to win that match on top odds last night, and they made it look like the value bet of the year. I mean, I know you wanted to have a look at the outright betting with regards to winning the Champions League, and I've got some information with regards to that for you. Both bookmakers, that's World Sports Betting and LM Bookmaker, have Bayern Munich up as favourites at 18-10. Now, I don't know how hard it is for a club to win the tournament again or defend their title. I don't know if it's ever been done in the Champions League era. But to me, that's a little bit short. And Real Madrid, on their performance last night, World Sports Betting have them up at 7-2 with Barcelona. And LM Bookmaker have them up at 4-1 to win the tournament. I don't know, the draw is always a fact. I mean, you take the 4-1 and they draw Barcelona or Bayern Munich in the next round. but she saw that on that performance last night, 4-1's got to be a little bit of value for them to lift the Champions League.
Yeah, it's funny because it's been spread over 2 weeks. We were all talking about PSG last week and Bayern Munich and Barcelona, all very impressive. Away wins for all three, weren't there? And then this week, I think Real Madrid, absolutely the form side of the week. And you've got to look at it. They're now 3 points clear in La Liga because both Barcelona and Atletico Madrid slipped up last week. And suddenly it's looking like a Real Madrid sensation. Obviously, they've got Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not a bad player, won the Ballon d'Or, but Gareth Bale, my mother was Welsh, as I've been saying to Comfort all morning. Gareth Bale looking like he's starting to pay back that world record price tag that's on his head. And between the two of them and Karim Benzema, Mercedes Benzema last night, 2 each for those three players. And yeah, like you say, betting on Real Madrid rather than Bayern Munich might be the value bet in Europe, and not betting on any English sides might be a very good idea.
Well, I don't know so much. I don't quite dislike this Chelsea side. I mean, both bookmakers have Chelsea up at 12-1 to win the tournament. I think it was a good performance last night against Galatasaray. The only problem that I may have had was when they got the first goal, they should have tried to go and get the second goal. But that's Mourinho. I mean, I would have put my life on the draw last night. Because that's just the way he plays. He go there, set up for the draw. He got the early goal on the break. And, to come back to Stamford Bridge with the away goal, they'll get through that tie. And they can beat anyone on their day. I mean, with his superior tactics, in terms of, what he implements with regard to each team that he plays, Chelsea might just be a dark horse in this tournament. And 12-1 might also be a little bit of value.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just kind of joining in the bandwagon of people saying all the English clubs are crap. They all lost 2-0, didn't they? Man United were rubbish in Greece, and Arsenal and Manchester City both been 2-0 at home the week before by Barcelona and Bayern. But, quietly, that wasn't a bad result. In Turkey, it's not a great place to go. And then you come back to, it's a bridge too far, we call it, whenever people go to Stamford Bridge in Europe. I think we're looking at a situation where Chelsea will be the only English representatives, but they could go quite a long way, given Mourinho's tactical nous. And the fact that under Roberto Di Matteo, who hasn't been seen since, they won the Champions League, didn't they, against Barcelona and Bayern. So you can't quite write them off. They've still got the backbone of that side.
Most definitely. And I think this young Hazard on the break is unbelievable. If they had a striker, like Mourinho said, I know they leaked that video this week, but if they did have a striker, that would be a different story. But, Torres isn't doing too badly. I mean, he can bring on Eto'o, who knows how to find the back of the net. And, Chelsea just might be the dark horse in this tournament, just because of the Mourinho factor. He knows how to win it.
It was just for our listeners. Jose Mourinho thought that the microphone was switched off, didn't he, in an interview this week? And then after the microphone was switched off, he said that he doesn't really have any strikers, and that was published and it got out there, even though Torres scored last night. He then said that Samuel Eto'o will never return to his old form because he's 32, maybe 35. And then yesterday, obviously, Samuel Eto'o denied that. But Samuel Eto'o's ex-wife said he's 39. So it's been very, very difficult for Jose Mourinho this week. A lot of people like to knock him down because he's such a fabulous interview. He's such a great tactician. His win over Man City in the league was so impressive. And then FA Cup, they seem to just kind of lose interest. And I think, secretly, Mourinho still thinks he's got a chance of beating these fancy pants Spaniards and Germans when he takes them back to Stamford Bridge and parks a bus away from home. I think, Mourinho introduced that phrase into football and he's the expert.
Well, you look at it when he won the Champions League with Inter Milan. I mean, the only way you could beat that Barcelona side was to shoot them, and he beat them. So, tactically he's one of the best, and I just think that it's going to take a lot for sides to break this Chelsea defence down. I think they've only conceded 3 goals in the whole Champions League, if that. And I just think that, defence wins big competitions, and maybe he's got that right, even though he doesn't have a striker. Yeah. So, that's very interesting. But I'd like to turn your attention to the PSL this weekend, obviously.
Yes.
And the game that I've been looking at, and purely because of the result in midweek, that's the Sundowns-Wits game. Yeah. Sundowns getting beaten by Pirates, and gee whiz, they 5-2 with both bookmakers. That's LM Bookmaker and World Sports Betting to beat Wits. Yeah. Surely that's got to be a good bet.
Right. So you're saying 5-2 on Sundowns is a good bet, yeah? Sundowns to win. And you'd put money on Sundowns to win at 5-2?
I would. I think they'll bounce back after that game against Pirates. Like you said, they were a little bit unlucky. Pirates were due a win, I think, after the bad run that they've had. And I just think that Sundowns and Pittsburgh side will bounce back.
Yeah. Mate, I would say that Gavin Hunt, his side also came back from a goal down this week. Bollockz scored a hat-trick and Witzer in the shake-up as well. Gavin Hunt against Pittsburgh.
And I think they were 10 men down. When
they were down to 10 men. Victor Gomez gave 2 penalties, as is his wont. And I've got to say that Gavin Hunt against Pittsburgh is a classic. But I'm not sure I would bet heavily either way on that one. But Gavin is changing his side round a lot. I see he completely shuffled his side the other night. Pittsburgh, on the other hand... suffered from suspensions and injuries. I think without Cuthbert Malagila up front, they don't look quite as sharp as they do when the Zimbabweans up there. But they play some nice stuff, though. Although I don't think Teka Modise was at his best. When they've got Carmen Billiat back, I think they're one of the best sides in the country, Sundowns. And I'm starting to really get a taste for Pitso's enthusiasm and his passion. And 5-2. Good bet. Like the advice. Let's have a look at that. We'll try and remember that one for next week.
Yeah, it's a good bet.
I should also say that we've got some great games. What about the Kaizer Chiefs Champions League bet? Having got through the preliminary round against Black Africa from Namibia, they come up against these Mozambicans, Liga Matsuma from Maputo. It's got a much longer name that I can't pronounce. They're generally called LDMM. That's what's on their badge. 3 league titles in Mozambique in the last 4 years. I've gone through their squad. They've got a Brazilian goalkeeper, a couple of Ghanaians, and the pride of Mozambique otherwise, apart from, I suppose, Elias Balembe, who plays at Sundowns. It must be very, very difficult to put together odds on Champions League games like this. They're playing on Saturday at the Moses Mabhida Stadium, 7 o'clock kickoff, and you're playing a Mozambican side that we really don't know much about.
Yeah, it is very difficult for bookmakers to price up. As you'll see, there is no betting yet. They'll probably price up, a day before the game. Look at starting lineups, find out more information about the Mozambican side. But, you look at the infrastructure in South Africa and you look at the infrastructure in Mozambique, and it's the same argument. You look at the money that's pumped into Chiefs and you look at the money that's pumped into a side in Mozambique. You look at the money in the PSL, the Nedbank Cup. Chiefs should walk it. And it's a shame that South African teams haven't won more of these Champions League tournaments. With regard to the infrastructure and facilities that we do have. I know it's shocking when we do go over, into the middle of Africa with regard. I know Pirates had problems with facilities and food and things like that. But at the end of the day, we should be a cut above the rest. I mean, winning 3 league titles in Mozambique, they should be relegated in a PSL. That's the situation that we should have, and we don't. And that's why it's so difficult to price up, because you don't know what Kaizer Chiefs side is going to turn up. Although they do have a little bit of a cushion at the top of the table, that might assist them. I mean, you can play a stronger side, and it's always difficult.
Yeah, as Stuart Baxter said to us last week, winning ugly is what he's taught Chiefs, and they've certainly done a bit of that this season, but they remain unbeaten since November the 5th, as you can see from my beard. And we've also got to look at a situation where if Chiefs get through this first round proper, to get to the group stages, they'll have to get past aside from Congo, AS Tuna or something, but it's more likely that I think that they'll play Dynamos, the perennial Zimbabwean champions, and the kind of the glamour boys of Zimbabwe. 7 million Zimbabwean people support Dynamos. 15 million South Africans reputedly follow Kaizer Chiefs, and I really look forward to that one. Dynamos against Chiefs. The home and away legs will be absolutely mobbed, given the relationship between our two countries. And I'm just hoping they get through.
Yeah, I think they will. Like you say, Baxter likes to win ugly. They are unbeaten. And like I said to you, they should get through. I would be backing Chiefs in that game. As soon as the odds come out, I'll have a look at that. But, yeah, CAF Champions League is always a difficult tournament to win. Those Northern African sides tend to dominate our athletes of the world. And we've got to get there, and Chiefs might have a chance if they get there. But let them get past this Mozambican side as well. I'd like to turn your attention quickly, Neil, just to the cricket. This this third test between South Africa and Australia. I know we discussed last week, and we said it was a tall order to back South Africa, but we'll bet with our hearts. And after that performance, geez, can you see anything but a South African victory in this third test against Australia?
Nope, I can't. I mean, the turnaround between those two tests, the fact that Australia lost those last 9 wickets so quickly, it was almost too good to be true. I thought Australia absolutely crumbled on a flat Port Elizabeth pitch, almost like they didn't want to bother coming back for day 5, and I was shocked. Absolutely shocked. And what's great is the Australians having to eat humble pie. They were on such a roll, having stuffed England and then won at Centurion by the third biggest run margin against South Africa ever. They were absolutely destroyed. And Dale Steyn obviously comes to the party, a second test, as he normally does. Surely Newlands can only go South Africa's way.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, both bookmakers, that's Allen Bookmaker and World Sports Betting, have South Africa up at 12-10. Both bookmakers again have Australia up at 2-1 and the draw at 5-2. So it's clearly in favour of South Africa. Just a question: does anyone know if it did rain on day 5?
No, it didn't rain. That's what was so funny, because everyone was told it was going to rain in Port Elizabeth on day 5. So if Australia could survive until the end, there'd be this pouring rain all day on the 5th day. It didn't rain. I checked that out. I was twittering all about it because I just thought it was unbelievable that Australia couldn't survive till the close. But as it happens, South Africa would have wrapped it up on the last day. They had 200 runs to play with. I just wanted to mention in passing that wonderful victory for South Africa's young Proteas, the under-19s yesterday. And Kagiso Rabada, a man who I spoke to a year ago from St Stithians, bowling at 150 kilometres an hour and taking 6 for 27 yesterday. I thought that was absolutely magnificent as well. I don't suppose many people will bet on that final, South Africa against Pakistan in the under-19 World Cup in the UAE, but what a great performance. And wouldn't it be great to see a lad like Rabada make it through and become our next Dale Steyn? Oh
yeah, most definitely. I watched the game yesterday. He's a brilliant bowler. To be hitting that speed at this age, and the accuracy and the carry through to the keeper was unbelievable, and he does it with no effort whatsoever. I'll give you the betting yesterday on the game. It was 8-10 South Africa to beat Australia. In that game, Australia were even money, and yes, they will be betting on the South Africa-Pakistan final. And I think with the bowling attack that we have, will be hard to beat. Although the conditions might suit Pakistan just a little bit better.
Yeah, mate. I just always wonder if we can put a bet on this lad Rabada to actually take 100 Test wickets, stuff like that. I love those kind of bets as well. Be lovely to see that, wouldn't it?
Well, we definitely, but he'd need to get his first cap first, and then we can work those odds out. But definitely a great prospect for the future. You look at Neil de Kock, where he is. Sorry, not Neil
Quinton.
Quinton de Kock.
Yeah,
where he is at the moment. Also a young lad, and stuff's good. There are a few good players in that side. Varley played a very, very good innings as well for South Africa. The two opening batsmen, 14, I think it was Markham, played very, very well. So we've got a good little side there, and as long as they go through the right channels and Cricket South Africa, nurture that talent, we could be a force to be reckoned with in cricket for some time to come.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Brandon, as always, some very interesting advice there, especially for Sundowns fans. Sundowns fans advised to take that 5-2 on a win over Wits. That game 6 o'clock on Saturday at Mill Park, where they're starting to get quite nice little crowds there in that little ground on the edge of the motorway. And also, of course, to bet on the Lions, some of those Lions bets against the Bulls might be worth taking up. And, of course, the Proteas to beat the Australians in the final test at Newlands. Yeah, I'll go with all three of those, I think.
Oh, well, you know what? You've made me doubt my Sundowns tip a little bit. But I'm going to stick with what I think, and I think Sundowns will win it. And I think they'll put a little bit more pressure, on Chiefs. As Chiefs run deeper into this CAF Champions League, the other sides feel that they might be able to, just maybe overtake them at the top of that PSL.
Absolutely. It's not over yet. PSL is not over yet. And Stuart Baxter knows that as well as anyone. Great stuff, Brandon. Next week, we'll be reviewing some of these. Just check we got it right or wrong. I think we're pretty much right in the European Champions League. Great stuff, Brandon. Next week, mate. Top odds compare. All right, guys. So if you want to take any of those bets we've just talked about, the website is www.tokodds.com. Go down the green menu on your left, go to rugby for that Lions-Bulls game. Football for those Sundowns bets. Blimey. What's Gavin Hunt going to think now? And the cricket's there as well. It's all there down the green menu on the left.
Balls.co.za. Visual Radio.